Thank you for watching another live edition of the East West Football Podcast. I am Fidel Barraza. Alongside with me, like always, Jerry Martinez, Kendall Whitley. What's going on, guys?
No theme music today for me.
Man, what a fun week of football, man. Some crazy games, crazy finishes. Let's get into it.
Yeah, I mean, crazy week 11 in the NFL. We capped it off last night in the Mexico City between the San Francisco 49ers and the Arizona Cardinals. It wasn't really much of a game. Niners destroyed the Cardinals, and now the they have a lot of questions.
A lot is an understatement. That Colt McCoy didn't play too bad. I know he threw it on my pick or whatnot. They sat him a few times, but I think he started out pretty good. DeAndre Hopkins. He had like 9 catches for 90 something yards, I believe. Um, it was a pretty good game for the Cardinals. They stayed in it for the most part, but then like later on in the second quarter, going into the second half, it's a complete blowout. What about the 49ers and all those weapons they got? Debo Samuel, Kittle, IU, McCaffrey. Let's not forget about Jennings too. They got some guys on offensive line. Jimmy G's playing good. Um, 49ers, they look like the Ravens. They look like a form of the Ravens from the AFC. They look really dangerous and good. And they're gonna get some of those injured players back. I think the corner Travaris Ward, he's playing some good ball. Nobody's one of the most under the radar signings this year was the 49ers signing Ward from the Chiefs. But they're playing some good ball over there in San Francisco. And that team is deep, they're young, and they talented.
Well said. And like you said, I mean, hey, we're getting ready, right? We're getting ready for Thanksgiving, right? And of course, our special guest today, West Coast. We're I know he's live right now, so we're waiting for him. See, and talk about some of the Thanksgiving Day games that we have going on.
Yeah. With that being said, though, guys, what stood out to you guys the most in Week 11?
Man, I'll let you go ahead first, Jerry.
It's a mess, man. Like some teams are just a complete mess. Just overall, like I mean, I think we were talking about it. Is like, man, look at the Jet situation. Even though they're 6-4, like, man, what's going on with the quarterback situation there? I mean, that's very disarming. I mean, they spent a very high draft pick on him. He looked very promising. Uh, the Colts, they look like they want to be for reals, but you know what I mean. The Eagles was a tough matchup for them. Are the Ravens really the team to beat? Those are some of the questions just in the AFC. NFC East looks still strong. Like you said, Cardinals, man, I think the Cardinals spent too much money on Kyler Murray, and he's not the answer for them. Neither is the head coach. And then it's up with the Rams, man. I mean, they won the Super Bowl last year, so just shows you if you're an Eagles fan, I'd be worried. I'd be asking Howie Roseman, what are you doing, man? Are you going to lead us down the Rams path? One Super Bowl and you're out. So it's just a ton of ugly game. There's just a bunch of ugly teams. I mean, they're not even at 500 right now. So that kind of sums up week 11, going into week 12 almost.
I think what's up to me is the Kansas City Chiefs. That whole AFC West division built all their teams in the offseason to beat the Chiefs. The Raiders made a lot of moves. Chargers spent a lot of money. The Broncos, boy, did they do a lot. But it seemed like the Chiefs, they revamped the wide receiver, they revamped the offensive line core the year before because Tampa had and that D line had tore them up in the Super Bowl. Then the next year they revamped the wide receiver core. They got rid of some guys, brought in some new guys, and Mahomes, he's probably the leader right now for the MVP. But they look fabulous. They look good. The Chiefs look real good. They look scared. And their defense is playing so good. Um, I thought this was going to be the year. I don't think nobody picked the Chiefs to win the division. I know I did. I went with the Chargers, I believe. But I thought this was the year that Mahomes was going to take a step back. But man, he's playing with a chip on his shoulder, man. Them boys look good.
Yeah, Pacheco, I mean, he looks really good at running back as well. I think he had his first 100-yard game, and it was the first time a Chiefs running back had a 100-yard game since last year at the midway point, I want to say. But what surprised me the most was the Minnesota Vikings stunk it up at home against the Dallas Cowboys. We had talked about on the pregame that the Cowboys needed this game more than what the Vikings did, and they sure did play like it.
I mean, I can go for it first, right? Since I'm a part of Cowboys Nation. I mean, we heard Mike McCarthy break down everything. We even heard Kellen Moore break it down. For Mike McCarthy to explain, that they had to do a self checklist. especially during the game and not so much after the game. That just shows you that Mike McCarthy understood that, hey man, it's a must, it's a must thing. There's no what ifs or he got his coordinators on the right. He got everybody on the same page basically. He got Dan Quinn on the same page because and Dan Quinn was under a lot of duress, or not duress, but a lot of questions, right, about being able to stop the run on that defense. And I think Dan Quinn, he was very clear. He says, "Man, sometimes you have some people trying to make some plays that make leave some vulnerabilities on your defense." But yeah, I mean the Cowboys really they answered the call, and I believe if they can stick to that script, I think that they'll have a little bit. They'll find the success they need to push into the playoffs, and they're getting some players back healthy too. Tyron Smith. I think Jerry Jones just said it today. Once he's ready to go, he's gonna be playing left tackle for the Cowboys. That means that promising rookie Tyler Smith is gonna be kicked into left guard, and looks like the offensive line is gonna be one of the stronger shoots on the Cowboys team right now.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys. That was told dominant. I did not expect that. I actually thought the Vikings were going to win that game based off of previous year. How they got embarrassed without Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush went down there in Minnesota won. But it seemed like the Vikings, the Cowboys kind of had the Vikings. Well, they've had Kirk Cousins numbers whole career. But I just think these two teams could see each other in the playoffs, and I think it'd be very interesting. But it was probably one of the most dominant performances I've seen from a Cowboys team in a while. And I think for this season, it's probably the most dominant performance.
Yeah, and how about the Lions going into MetLife Stadium and beating the Giants, a team that the Cowboys are going to play on Thanksgiving Day?
Shocker, right? For lack of better terms, I mean, I think that's one of the things with the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions, they just couldn't find a way to close out these games, and their defense kind of stepped up and found a way to make Daniel Jones, or not Daniel Jones, but they found a way to make that offensive scheme lopsided because I believe there's 46 passing attempts by Daniel Jones. Never want to see Daniel Jones passing that many times, and I know he's pretty gifted with his running, but they shut down Saquon. Daniel Jones was able to find some yards, but we've seen him do that all season long. So we'll see, man. I mean, the big test for the Giants is this Thursday, and it's a big test for the Cowboys too. I mean, you're talking about separating yourself and getting into, like you said, playoff seeding.
I want to talk about the New York Jets. Obviously, they had a very close game against the New England Patriots. Essentially, the game was supposed to go into overtime. The Jets punt the ball. I want to say there was 26 seconds left, and the Patriots come back and score a touchdown. Now, with that being said, Zach Wilson and that offense, I believe they only had 2 yards in the second half worth of offense. This is not the first time that Zach Wilson hasn't looked good out there. And then even after the game, they asked him if he kind of took responsibility, for the loss, and he said no. So if you're Robert Saleh, and he already came out in the press conference saying that essentially everything is on the table right now. He's not promising Zach Wilson to be the starting quarterback moving forward. But what do you guys think they should do at quarterback? Should they keep Zach Wilson? Should they play Joe Flacco? I mean, because look, this team, it's a good football team. It's a really good defense. Right now, they're in the playoff chase, right? So with that being said, it's November the 22nd. What do you guys do?
I'm hard headed, so I would keep him in there. I'm just a hard headed guy. Obviously, we've seen Joe Flacco. I mean, he's had some good games, this year too, right? Filling in for Zach Wilson, but you know, Joe Flacco's not the future, man, and you need to make sure that Zach Wilson is your future because if not, and you're gonna have to make some tough decisions in the offseason because I'll tell you this, Zach Wilson, that offense is really holding back Zach Wilson. I'm in my opinion, Zach Wilson was known to fling that thing around, and here it's more of a Russian attack. So it's kind of hard when your heart and your nature is to just let that air, just let that ball just find some air and air it out. But obviously, this offense is kind of holding them back. So I would stick with Zach Wilson, see if he can just string some confidence, string some games together, and see if they can close it out. Because I mean, you have an overachieving defense and surprising offensive players that are making some plays.
I agree with Jerry there. I would keep a man there because I mean, what else? What do you have? You got Mike White on the bench. You got Joe Flacco. They're not the future. I mean, you're still in the playoff race. You're still in the playoff picture. I think they dropped down to number 7 or 8 because the Patriots went up to 6, I believe. But I think they'll be fine for this year anyway. Just keep them in there, get as much out of them, and just play their season out with Zach Wilson as your starting quarterback.
Yeah, I think you got to find out what you have in the kid, and he needs all the reps he can get. Right? I mean, he's still a young quarterback, but also because it's going to be a very interesting offseason as far as the free agency, what the quarterbacks go. Because there's going to be a quarterback out there. It's going to be a free agent that a lot of people thought he was not going to be on this current team. And I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo. He just threw 4 touchdowns on Monday Night Football against the Arizona Cardinals. So each week, his price is just kind of going up. So, I mean, the Niners are now going to be in a situation where, yeah, Trey Lance is coming off an injury. He should be good to go by week 1. But, I mean, what do? Do you re-sign Jimmy Garoppolo and admit your mistakes, or do you just let him go?
Great questions. I mean, all across the board. I mean, I think Arizona's kind of like in the same situation with Kyler Murray. So, I mean, it's tough, man. I mean, it's a tough situation, but I mean, at least those are options come this off season, and it looks like I think that he can make a good transition to the Jets. But if anything, I think Joe Douglas, that's a storyline to keep in the off season because Joe Douglas does come from Howie Roseman's. I don't want to say coaching tree, but I guess if you could say a general manager tree, right?
Football tree, just I guess you can say it like
he was under Howie Roseman when Howie Roseman, put together that Super Bowl championship. So obviously, if anything we learned from Howie Roseman, he loves to use quarterbacks as his draft capital. So if anything, you may have some draft capital with Zach Wilson, like you said. Maybe you can bring in Jimmy G, like through free agency and maybe get a first round pick and continue to build that that offense and defense up. I mean, I think they struck gold with Sauce Gardner.
They got some pieces over there.
They got a solid team, especially on defense. I feel like
for the future, for sure.
Jets are built. Jets can win right now. I think they're quarterback away, and I think Joe Flacco, if they would have put Joe Flacco in, Joe Flacco probably could have won that game down there. He could have made a couple of throws to beat the Patriots. I think he's used to going. Let's not forget, he's with the Baltimore Ravens. He's been down in New England. He's beaten them a couple of times, and we know about Joe Flacco. The Patriots do. I think Joe Flacco could have made a couple of throws there. Just from a veteran perspective. Zach Wilson I don't know if it's he's I don't believe he's the guy for New York. And it seems like the Jets cannot get that quarterback position fixed. And that the defense is probably mad. They have to be mad. They played a great game, and then all they needed was a couple. I think they was 1 for 11, I believe, on third down. It was bad. I think if you get just not even like 3 or 4 of them, you can win that game. Just get the team in position to get some field goals. Because New England couldn't score. They couldn't score. Just get some field goals. Maybe you win 9-3 instead of losing 10-3.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with you. All right, well, let's not waste any more time. Let's bring on our guest tonight, West Coast Cowboy.
Yo, I want to say something real quick before I start. I apologize for my background. I thought I was going to be like on my show. I use my green screen and I could not get it to work. So it looks extremely ghetto behind me. So,
man, you ain't got to apologize, man.
I could not figure out how to freaking get the green screen up to work with this program. So I literally just put a thing up to go. So,
you're good, man. West Coast Cowboy, how you doing, man?
Shoot, I'm good, man. How y'all doing, man?
Man, good, man. We appreciate your time. I know
absolutely,
you're a busy man. So
it's been a while. West Coast.
Hey, I know, man. It has been, man. We gotta, you know what I'm saying? These Cowboys, man, be having me running all over the place, bro. But God is good, man. God is good. You know what I'm saying? And when you're winning, everything is always good. You know what I'm saying? God is always good when you're winning. You know what I'm saying? God is good. God is good. When you lose it, I don't know what's going on.
Hey, bro, I couldn't have you here if I ain't rock the hat you sent me. So you already know. So,
I appreciate you, man. And hey, they're universal, man. And I don't mean as in guys can wear them and girls can wear them. They're universal means any team can wear them. You know what I'm saying? Because every team is a better team when you run the ball. That's just been factual.
Hey, West Coast. So obviously the Cowboys coming off a big victory against the Minnesota Vikings, completely dominated the Vikings. in Minnesota. They got a big game, big divisional game between the New York Football Giants. What do you think the keys are to victory for the Cowboys on Thursday?
I mean, well, this is the thing. Like, if it wasn't, there's a couple factors that are making this game bigger than what it is. One, the Giants have a winning record for like the first time we've ever played them, other than when we play them week 1 and they're 0-0, because that's still considered a winning record. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that it's on Thanksgiving, and we ain't won a Thanksgiving game in like 5 years. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, man, these is the same. I ain't gonna cuss, but this is the same bum ass Giants, bro. Like, these are the same Giants. The one thing I like about the Giants is this, man. At some point, they always go. They're the most consistent team in football because at some point they're gonna go back to being the Giants. And to be honest with you, like, that's what you're seeing. That's what you're seeing. And like, I try to show them a little bit more love because my boy Jalen Smith plays for him, so I'm always trying to show them an extra little bit of love. But they just don't have, like, think about this. When they did win a Super Bowl, and this is just some random stuff. When they did win a Super Bowl, they were 9-7. So even then, it wasn't like they put it together and they built it. I don't really think that organization really knows how to go through a full season of success. So it's like it was kind of doomed for like these losses to start coming. But it's like the Cowboys, man, we 8-1 versus them in the last 9. Dak hasn't lost to the Giants since he was a rookie. Like, when Dak lost to the Giants, he was wearing bow ties. He didn't wear bow ties no more. You know what I'm saying? And he was wearing Adidas. He wears Jordans now. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot has changed since the Giants beat us. So, my biggest concerns are, the Dallas Cowboys. We know my team, the scariest games for me are after we have large successful stuff. Like, we actually handle failure better than we handle success. Because I'm gonna tell you this. After we lost to Green Bay, bro, I don't give a damn who we was playing. I knew for a fact we were winning the next game. Because the Cowboys just do a really good job of we're in the pits, where everybody's against us. We gonna go in here, and it was on the road. It was just like it was those are the type of games the Cowboys win. The type of games that we lose are the games where, oh man, the Cowboys should go in here, they should blow these dudes out by 20. We should be talking about the such and such game Dak is gonna play to halftime. And then we go in there and you were up 14 and you drop 17 points in the fourth quarter. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I actually felt more good about that game. And this Giants game is kind of like the same thing, man. This is more on us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not really looking at the Giants to provide any, and I'm not trying to hate on them. I'm not trying to diminish my opponent, but just looking at, not at their record, at their team, the Dallas Cowboys are a better team than the New York Giants, period. Like, on both sides of the ball. Like, I will never be afraid of a defense where the number one person on your defense that gets sacks is your D tackle, unless it's Aaron Donald. You know what I'm saying? If it's not Aaron Donald, I'm just not afraid of your defensive line. You know what I'm saying? Then, when you look at their cornerbacks, you look at the going back from their DBs. For the first thing, the Dallas Cowboys shouldn't even be throwing the ball a whole bunch. So my hope is always that they were running the damn ball anyway. So we should avoid any onslaught of interceptions and things like that. But for the most part, man, the people that give us the hardest problem in these Giants games is the quarterback who decides to end up running. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And like that second running back, though, those are the two players that I want to keep my eye on, because I don't think that Daniel Jones has enough to beat the Dallas Cowboys. But as long as LVE is the middle linebacker of the Dallas Cowboys, you're always going to have action in that middle. That's just what it is, man. You're going to have action in that middle. So, and he kind of gave LVE the biz last time. So as long as the Cowboys don't get caught up in themselves, oh, this is Thanksgiving, we haven't won a Thanksgiving in 4 games. Oh, we just played a game 4 days ago. Like, bro, as long as we go out there and play no excuse football, we should do what we do. And we should beat this team by like 20 points. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just what it is. Like, at this point of the game, the Cowboys need to start identifying who they are. And that is, you're the good team. Like, I know people like to say that, oh, any given Sunday, any team can win. Honestly, bro, that's what bad teams believe in. Good teams don't believe that, bro. Good teams believe that if we go and execute, we're going to win. Like, you only hear that, oh, it's any given Sunday. Bad teams say that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But good teams know that if we play our game, the outcome should be that we should win. We may not blow the dudes out, but at the end of the day, we should have more points on the scoreboard than them. So for my team, that's the mentality that we got to start. You just blew an 8-1 team out by freaking 37 points, bruh. You cannot be looking at this Giants team thinking like, oh, this is going to be a close. What? How can what? That makes no sense. So yeah, I'm saying this on Thanksgiving. The Dallas Cowboys should win by 14 points. Like, you are clearly the better team. You know what I'm saying? And that's really my mindset on this whole game going through. I believe my team 100% is going to win. I just want to see in how the facet they're going to win. Like, are we going to play down to the competition, or are we going to play up to the competition like we did for the Vikings?
Yeah, I agree with you there, West Coast, on the way. I think y'all should beat them 14 points. I think that's a good number, whatnot. I want to switch it over a little bit. I've been noticing, I tune into your lives about every day. I notice you're not all in on the OBJ hype coming to Dallas. Why don't I'm not gonna ask why you don't think it's a good fit, but why aren't you all in on it? I mean, why are you okay with what y'all have currently on the roster?
Well, I mean, it's okay to ask me why I don't want Odell Beckham Jr. I don't want Odell Beckham Jr. in a Dallas Cowboy uniform. And it's nothing against him, but it is actually against him. You know what I'm saying? Let's just talk about it from a personnel standpoint. From a personnel standpoint, I believe OBJ is a talent. But this is the thing for any team. If I was any team, not even the Dallas Cowboys, there are some concerns that you should be looking at with OBJ. First off, he's 30 years old. Okay. Secondly, he's had the same injury on the same leg. Thirdly, he got hurt and he wasn't even getting hit. I always get scared when players get hurt and they're not getting hit. Because if I hit you and you get hurt, that's understandable. Bro, if you're just running routes and making cuts and you get injured that way, well, I'm going to be requiring you to do that. That means you could theoretically get hurt at practice. You know what I'm saying? Because think about this. If you get hurt getting hit, they only hit in the games. That means I only got to worry about you on the games getting hurt. But if you're out here cutting and making angles and routes and you're getting hurt, that means I have to look at you weird at practice. You know what I'm saying? Then I'm going to tell you this right here. If a man's house just caught on fire, there is no way in the world you're going to convince him not to get fire insurance. You want to know why? Because he just experienced that loss. How can someone talk to me about signing OBJ when I am looking dead at Michael Gallup? Now, I know Michael Gallup and OBJ shouldn't have anything to do with each other, but they have a lot to do with each other, because I'm a man who you're trying to convince to give a guy money like I gave this guy, and I'm seeing this guy, Michael Gallup, who is younger. We don't even got to care about the talent. Well, let's not even talk about talent. I'm talking about his body is younger. So I would assume the person with the younger's body should be able to bounce back from an injury faster than a 30-year-old man. You know what I'm saying? And that's just facts. And I'm seeing, if you're a Cowboy fan and you really watch the game, you know Michael Gallup is lightweight kind of, you know what I mean? Like, he's still coming back. Like, an example, Green Bay, Michael Gallup does a slant in the end zone, falls on his butt. And let's just be all real. If you're a Cowboy fan, you grabbed your heart because you didn't know if he was going to get up. Why would you want to invest in that twice? That makes no sense. And you got to, and my biggest thing is this: we are a run first team. I do not trust my offensive. Giving Odell Beckham to the Kellen Moore is like giving a gun to a 4-year-old. Like, do I think he's going to shoot himself? No, but I think there's a very, very high chance. Why? Because they're just not ready for that type of mature weapon. Like, give that to a Bellamy in Kansas City. Give that to a Buffalo. You know what I'm saying? Give it to them dudes who have experienced that. Kellen Moore had Amari Cooper, Cedric Wilson, Michael Gallup, a healthy Michael Gallup, a healthy CeeDee Lamb, and look what we did last year. We threw the ball when we shouldn't have been throwing, and we lost. We gave up 164 yards. Like, it doesn't, that type of offense doesn't match the Dallas Cowboys. Now, I know it matches my offensive coordinator because that's what he wants to do, but for the team, it doesn't match. And then think about this. Right now, the Dallas Cowboys are ranked 6th right now versus win rate as far as in the run game. Well, we're ranked 32nd, fellas. There's only 32 teams in the NFL. We're ranked 32nd for pass win rate. and you're talking about adding something that's probably going to make us pass more. You know what that makes me feel like? That makes me feel like my offensive line is, if you get OBJ, you'll probably give up more sacks too. Like I'm like that extreme dude. Like if you get OBJ, you know what that also means? That means my offensive line has to block more. So that means what? That means they're already bad blocking for 32 for 30 snaps. Imagine every week you trying to block for 47 and 48, bro. Dak's gonna get killed. This offense can't handle that. It wasn't like, think about this. You got rid of Amari Cooper, and theoretically, what did it do? It made you run the damn ball. So it's like, why would I be okay with anything that takes this hat off my head? Nope, not doing it. Not doing it. Nope. It's not for us, man.
Appreciate it, bro.
We got a question. It says here, what team threatens the Cowboys more, the 49ers or the Eagles? By Javier Zuniga. Good question.
I will, just because I'm picking those two teams, I will give you a team, but I will tell you the team that threatens everything for us. The team that threatens out of those two teams, I would say the 49ers. The Eagles, Dak Prescott 7-3 versus them. The last two times that the Eagles beat the Dallas Cowboys, freaking Cooper Rush and Ben DiNucci were the quarterbacks. So obviously that doesn't count. I have no, I mean, and you could probably call it a little arrogance, but I have no faith I don't have any faith in the Eagles. Like I won $193 on the Eagles off a $2, not a $2, but off a $50 bet, betting them when they were to lose that night. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna tell you this funny story. I won $193, but I also lost $50, 7 weeks straight, because every week I was betting that they lost. so you know what I'm saying? Like I really, so I could be a biased Cowboy fan, but I would say the 49ers, simply because the 49ers are the one team in the NFL that I know when they play us, they're going to run the damn ball. And they brought in a quarterback that was not better than my quarterback. They put up 169 yards and they sent our ass home. And then they went to Green Bay and did the exact same thing to the Green Bay Packers and sent they ass home. You know what I'm saying? So they believe in the run game. And then the last thing about 49ers is they re-strengthened their strength by when they got Christian McCaffrey. You know what I'm saying? Like how does a team that already runs the ball well go get Christian McCaffrey? Like that's like some Dark Vader and goddamn who's some good villains? Dark Vader and the Sith. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching the Mandalorian with my kids. But imagine if these two dudes came together. You know what I'm saying? It was like, hey, how about we both? And it took us 2 movies. In 2 movies, he whooped both our ass. So how about this? How about we just both come together and we go get him? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I see it.
How about an Al Davis and a Jerry Jones, right?
Facts. Facts. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's like those two coming together. Yeah. But the team that really, like, I ain't gonna say they scare me, but the team that I feel that the Cowboys would have to circle, but you're gonna get blessed because you get to play them, is the Tennessee Titans, bro. Because see, they're gonna run the ball 30 times on you, and they're gonna run the ball with you 30 times with Derrick Henry. Like 15 runs with Derrick Henry is bad, and I know he's gonna run like 30. That's the team. And you got to think like this, with a team like that, like if they're going to forcefully run the ball with a good running back, it kills our number one weapons on defense, and that's Micah Parsons. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is Micah Parsons doing when a team ain't throwing the ball? Tackling like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and then like, what is Trevon Diggs doing in a game like that? Tackling like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So that's the team that I circle. You know what I'm saying? I believe there's teams that are better than the Tennessee Titans in the NFL right now. But if I had to circle a team that I say is built to give us problems, that Tennessee Titans game, like for sure.
And that's because the Cowboys have a string of games that are not easy by any stretch of imagination. So, I think that like you said, they're a very tough team. And like you said, if they can get Derrick Henry going, I mean, there's no stopping them. I mean, and they're a tough team, right? Like I said, just to emphasize on that. But a couple of things.
I'm gonna say this last thing I'm gonna tell you on that too is I am always afraid of a team that is going which has identified that running is their identity, because you know what that means. When all hell breaks loose and they're desperate, you know what they're gonna do? Run the damn ball on you.
Yep.
Those are the teams that scare me. Like teams that are like, we don't have nothing else in the world to do. Like Chicago, I'm gonna tell you, I'm saying this now because I want to be smart 2 years from now. Chicago's gonna be a good team in like 2 years. You
Oh,
want to
yeah.
know why? Because they forcefully run the ball. Even when they were down 20 to us, what did they just kept doing? Running
Right.
it. Why? Because that's all they knew. The pass game will come, bro. The passing will come. You know what I'm saying? But a team that's like, bro, no matter what, we're gonna run the damn ball. Yeah, that's a little intimidating because my team can't stop the run.
Well
Like,
said. All facts too. Um, I have a couple of questions, and I hope you have a little bit of time. But what did you think when you saw Jason Peterson at left tackle and Tyler Smith at left guard?
I think it made sense because, you know, I was one of the guys that was kind of, I ain't gonna say I was against it, but I was against Tyler Smith moving to tackle. I just wanted to leave him at guard. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, it didn't make no sense, especially when you have Jason Peters here. You know what I'm saying? And we all knew that, you know, that Tyron Smith was gonna come back at some point. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it you know, I'm always on upside. You know, I think that Tyler Smith is a better guard than Connor McGovern. You know what I'm saying? And I think, you know, part of the reason why, you know, you see Ezekiel Elliott's runs aren't as explosive as Tony Pollard's is because, you know, there's a difference you're going to get when you have that guard play. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you also got to think like this when Tony Pollard here recently, but for the most part, Tony Pollard isn't really running against stacked boxes. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because he has the ability to catch a wheel route and go 80 freaking yards. So because of that, you got to kind of have your safety kind of out the box, playing that zone too. But with Ezekiel Elliott, Zeke doesn't have that same threat. So what happens? They load the freaking box up. You know what I'm saying? So what do you need? You need a freaking nasty ass guard down there that can blow that crap up. And Connor McGovern's not that guy. So like when Tyron Smith comes back, I think for one, the passing is going to get better. You know what I'm saying? That whole side over there is going to get better. So your pass protection is going to get better. And then I think your running ability is going to get better. But to answer your question, they had to do it now. And it also was good to see because it lets me know that Tyron Smith is coming back sooner than later because they're already getting Tyler Smith, you know, getting him ready to get back in that position. So I like it. And that kid's going to make a ton of money. So when it comes to get paid, he's going to make a ton of money, you know, especially if you can play both positions well. You're going to make a lot of money doing that.
Well said, because I believe it was Jerry Jones who announced it today that Tyron will get his left tackle position back when he's ready, when he's cleared.
Yeah, and everybody, man, I'm gonna tell you, bro, my inbox is crazy. I had probably 60 some inbox. Oh, West Coast, they're gonna mess up his development. I'm like, bruh, we're ranked 32nd. Nothing's being developed. Like, you can't be worse, bruh. Like, when you and I'm gonna tell you this right here, right? This is what I believe wholeheartedly. The first 8 games of the season are for development, bruh. Once you hit week 9, it's winning time, bruh. Screw that crap. If you ain't developed by then, put the guy in who can play right now, bruh. Like the first games of the season, now we developed that crap at the beginning of the season, bruh. It's winning time now. It's about to get cold, man. Like it's time to start. It's time to start figuring out where we going. Is we gonna do this or we gonna be doing that? Nah, that miss me with that develop crap, bro. If you ain't developed by now, it's not gonna happen, bro. I see you in training camp. Develop that in training camp. It's winning season. It's winning time right now.
Facts, man. I will say this. I'm gonna add just to what you said, man. I really like Terrence Steele, man. What he does for the
Hell
running.
yeah.
Wow.
He about to get paid too. He about to get paid next. He gonna get paid next year too.
They need to do it now because he's gonna be too much money next time. But
yeah,
anyway, getting back,
Cowboys gonna pay him though. Cowboys, there's no because I mean, it's gonna work out for his favor by the Cowboys. I mean, if he was on the New England Patriots, they would pay him right now.
Let me ask you a question. I have a couple actually, but Tony Pollard, are we gonna resign him?
Man, I'm gonna tell you this. You got to break that into 2 questions. Do I think the Cowboys re-sign him? Honestly, no.
Oh,
do I think you should re-sign him? Yes, hell yeah, you resign him. Dude's your leading receiver. He's like damn near your leading receiver. He's your leading rusher. He's your leading big play guy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a huge Zeke guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think a team like the Miami Dolphins, I think a team like New England Patriots, a team like Kansas City Chiefs, a team like the Jets, teams that don't really care if they're running back pass blocks, those teams are going to be willing to pay Tony Pollard. And it's like when those type of teams get involved, man, we're not going to outbeat those dudes. And Jerry Jones is one of those dudes where he feels like since I drafted you, you should give me a discount. Because remember, I'm the one who brought you into the league. But what Jerry Jones doesn't understand, like, if you didn't draft him, somebody else would have. You know what I'm saying? So, like, and in 2022, you can't say that to these kids. You know what I'm saying? You can't tell them, I gave you an opportunity. Like, no, you didn't. If you wouldn't have drafted me, somebody else would. So it's like these new kids, you can't just tell them that. And I don't think, like, you think, like, my thing is this, Jerry, you think they didn't want to keep Cedric Wilson? I believe they did.
I believe so too.
But then the pride aspect was like, bro, I'm not about to chase after a guy I drafted. So I think there's going to be some teams that are going to see Tony Pollard the way I've been seeing him for the last 3 years. And that is because I saw him as a Randall Cobb. My first video I ever said, I think Tony Pollard can be the next Randall Cobb. Then when Randall Cobb fell off, that's when I started saying he could be the next Debo. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, you know, Tony Pollard, if he's smart, he should be trying to get slot or wide receiver money, because running back money is nothing. Like, that's nothing. That's $10 million. You know what I'm saying? So it's like Tony Pollard, if I'm him, I'm trying to get wide receiver money. So if he tries to get in that, I don't think the Cowboys, because you got to think like this. We just said we got to pay Terrence Steele. And are you going to then let Dalton Schultz walk? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't do it. And I'm gonna tell you like this, Jerry, if you get Odell Beckham, where is all this money coming from?
The salary cap that we still have some salary left over, but like you said, we need to preserve that for our own, right? Because you gotta put Trey Diggs up there. You got to get paid again.
You got Jaron Kearse, you got Donovan Wilson.
Well, Jaron I believe Jaron was.
Oh yeah, Jaron was 2 years. I'm sorry.
So we got some time to kill with him, but like you said, dang, it's gonna be real tricky. So I just was one of those things where I was asking, is Tony Pollard a priority signing in the offseason?
I believe that's what I said. I believe, like, I don't believe that the Cowboys, like, the more he does these spectacular plays on the NFL game, and think about this: what if Tony Pollard goes dumb on Thanksgiving? Brad, the whole world is going to be watching.
Yes, it is. Yes,
you know what I'm saying? And it's like, sometimes it's not really about how many plays you make. It's really about when you make plays. Like, nobody knew who Malcolm Butler was until he what? Well, don't get me wrong, Kendall. You knew who Malcolm Butler was. You know what I'm saying? But we didn't know who Malcolm Butler was until he intercepted the ball in the end zone in the Super Bowl. Next thing you know, he's getting there's people trying to give him all this type of money. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, sometimes it's about when you make plays. And Tony Pollard has made some plays on some of the biggest moments in some of these games. So it's like, there's going to be a team that's going to be like, oh, what if the Cowboys just didn't use him right? Because you know, it's like every guy who gets a girl that's been with another dude, you're like, well, maybe she was just a bad girlfriend for him. You know what I'm saying? She going to be good for me. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I believe, and the last thing I say about Tony Pollard, name me an offensive player that's probably going to be a bigger free agent than him. There's not going to be an offensive player that's going to be because everybody got paid this year. So it's like Tony Pollard he's probably going to be the number one offensive player on free agency. I don't see how the Cowboys, I don't see how they do it, bro. And you got to sign CeeDee Lamb the next year. And Trevon Diggs. Great point, but hey, great problems to have. There's a bunch of teams out there that would wish they had these problems, but I'll tell you this: give heads off to Will McClay, even Stephen Jones. But anyways, my last one, and we'll end it with this, right? Because I've kept you for a long time. The reason the Cowboys Nation is hated so much is because every year is our year, and as we're getting closer this year, it's our year again, right? Am I wrong? Or am I right? Yes, and I'm gonna tell you this: I would never follow a team or be a fan of a team where you didn't believe that you could win it all every single year. I'm gonna ask you a question. The Boston Celtics, they won 11 championships in a row, right?
Yes.
Do we honestly think that championship number 7, they was like, damn, bro, I wish we would lose in the finals. Why? Because this winning championship, this is just getting old and boring.
Hell
Like,
no.
bro, nobody gets tired of winning championships. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like your goal, you're like I would like that. I think that's what honestly separates my fans from everybody else, is because our expectation, even if we won the Super Bowl last year, is that we're gonna win it this year. And then when this season's over, we're gonna win it next year. So it's like I actually think that's a really good thing, because it's like, could you imagine being a fan of a team where your expectations, the season ain't even started and they don't expect for you, they're not even talking Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? Like being a Cleveland Browns fan, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that, I couldn't, like a fan, and as being a fan, you're supposed to be fanatical because that's what it's short for. So it's like I think the Cowboys got it right in that aspect. Like every single year, no matter what happens, this is our year. You
I
know what
will.
I'm saying?
I will say this: the window's wide open right now. I say at
Hell
least.
yeah.
I think it's at least 3 seasons for sure. We got 3 seasons where it's wide open, where we can actually make a strong push. I think Kendall's given the Cowboys his nod for a complete team, head to toe, rotational players and all that good stuff. But my question is, if we don't get to the Super Bowl, or let's say we don't win the Super Bowl, will Mike McCarthy be back as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys?
Yes. Because I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Their measurement of success is different from ours. Because you got to think like this. If you ask the common Dallas Cowboy fan, was last year a success? Most people are going to say no. No, it was not a success. Why? Because we didn't win the Super Bowl. But we got to remember, coaches aren't actually paid to win Super Bowls. Because if a coach was actually paid to win a Super Bowl, no coach would take a job. Because that is such an unguaranteeable thing that you can do. Like, why would you guarantee a person perfection, like the ultimate goal? It's more like that's not actually what you're getting paid to do. Because think about this: even when teams win Super Bowls, it's the team, it's the actual NFL that actually pays their salaries for those games. So they're not even actually getting paid to be in the playoff games. The NFL's paying those. So like, if the Cowboys don't win a Super Bowl, no, I think they will still be. I think you can still measure him as a successful coach, because like, think about this: if you say you get to the first round of the playoffs and lose, and we're not talking about the Cowboys, we're talking about another team, because I don't jinx my team. So say the Cleveland Browns hired Mike McCarthy. In his first season, he won 6 games. Then in his second season, he won 12 games and 12-5 and loses in the first round of the playoffs. His second season, he goes 12-5, losing the first round of the playoffs. When you're sitting down with your owner, bro, there's no way he can tell you you're failed. You've won 70% of the games that you've won. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, to an organization, that's not failure. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not failure. Now, to the fans, that's considered failure. Why? Because we didn't win the Super Bowl. But to Jerry Jones, like, I don't think you can fire a coach in 3 years and took you to playoffs 2 times. I don't think there's any coaches out there that like that right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think there's except for Kansas City, maybe.
Great point. Great point.
Like I think they're, and then like, imagine getting fired after going to the playoffs back-to-back season. Imagine being fired. You've been there 3 years. You've been to the playoffs 2 years, and you've won 12 plus games in 2 of those years, and they fire you. Imagine, what would you tell the next guy? Like, the next guy, you would literally have to tell him.
Dak has been out twice.
Thank you. And think about this, Kendall. Oh my God, bro, that's a phenomenal point from goddamn. Think about this: the one losing season that you had, you only had your quarterback 4 games. How can you fire me, bro? Like, when I have my quarterback, I win almost all of my games. Like, almost all of my games. Like, he's literally, like, think about this: like, he lost 5 games with Dak last year, and he lost how many games with Dak this year? 3. So and then he only lost 1 game with Dak Prescott. Oh my God, Mike McCarthy's only lost 9 games with his starting quarterback. No, you can't. And off the top of my head, just because my math is good, Mike McCarthy should be 16, 17, 17. There's 50 total games that Mike McCarthy has played. 50. There's 50 games he could have coached up to now. Mike McCarthy currently right now is 30-20. I just did that math right now in my head. He's 30-20 as of today with the Dallas Cowboys. And think about this: out of 20 of those losses, 9 of them, Dak wasn't even a starting quarterback. I mean, only Dak was a starting quarterback in only 9 of those. No, you can't fire that guy. You can't fire him.
Jeremy Castaneda says, "Good point." So
Can't fire him.
Yeah, he loves it. Well, the thing is, West Coast is that you're a part of Cowboys Nation just like I am, and we hear about the champagne conspiracy theories out there. That's why I have to ask you, man.
Yeah, so, and you know what the crazy thing about it is, people want to fire Mike. Like imagine being with a girl. You meet a girl and you be like, yeah, my ex boyfriend, he paid my rent, like he paid my car note, he paid my he opened the door, he brought me lunch every day to school. Like, bro, imagine this laundry list of all this stuff your ex did, bro. I'm like, yeah, I'll kick it with you, but bro, I ain't doing all that. You know what I'm saying? Imagine being a coach sitting in an interview room like, damn, you fired this dude after he did all that? Like, I don't know if I want this job. I'm basically gonna have to win a Super Bowl year 1, or I should be fired after 1 year. So no, I don't. That's not even good business. Like, I think Mike McCarthy, unless this season just like tanks just flum and we don't go to the playoffs, no, he doesn't get hired. He doesn't get fired.
A great point. If anything, I think what would happen, is that he would have to revisit the Kellen Moore situation and maybe get a little bit more involved with the actual play calling. So, great point, West Coast. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy gonna have to like at the end of the season, he's gonna have to assert himself, because Kellen Moore might be the reason he eventually does get fired. You know what I'm saying?
All right, West Coast. Well, appreciate your time. Real quick, where can our listeners and viewers follow you on social media?
Shoot, man, anywhere, anything on social. I mean, I didn't monopolize the West Coast brand, so anything in West Coast Customs, they don't even do cars no more. So anywhere, we're with them. So all you gotta do is type in West Coast Cowboy, bro. West Coast Cowboy, and it's gonna come up on Twitter, on Instagram, West Coast Cowboy, IG, West Coast Cowboy, YouTube, IG, West Coast Cowboy, everywhere, man. Reddit, West Coast Cowboy, don't matter, man. West Coast Cowboy, I'm up everywhere, man.
All right, West Coast, appreciate it. Thank you, everyone out there, for watching and listening. We'll talk to you guys on Thanksgiving. Have a good night.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.